Hello, Pick a Side Nation. This is James Finley, your host for the Pick a Side podcast. We are coming to you from the lab. Today we have a great show. We have 4 interviews that we are having today. And we're going to start off with Sylvia Brooks Griffin. Then we will have Raquel Watts. Then after that, we'll have Dr. James Gray. And we'll finish off with Charnay Tunson. These 4 lovely ladies are going to be running for the LACCD seat. And we hope that you will be able to get out and vote on November 3rd or sooner for all 4 of these ladies. We are hoping to make serious changes in the Los Angeles Community College District. Sit back, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye. And a very good day to the Pick a Side Nation. This is James Finley, your host with the Pick a Side podcast. And we are on the 3rd leg of the dynamic relay team for LACCD. And today we have Dr. James Gray that's into the lab to talk about her seat, which is seat number 5. And it was my pleasure, as I was just speaking with her, that I had the opportunity. I received my sample ballot yesterday, and I saw all these wonderful Black empowered women on the ballot. And I was like, wow, I feel part of this now. So I'm extremely happy for all of you guys, happy for you that you guys have gotten to this point. So, Dr. James Gray, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. I am great. I'm alive, one step closer to the finish line,
Yeah.
trying to just educate as many people as I can about, what's on the ballot this November 3rd. We have that big one, of course, at the top, you
Right,
know,
right.
with the presidential pick, but there's so many other important things on this ballot that are going to affect our everyday lives. Of course, the presidency is important. That's very important. But there's things that are going to affect you and what you do every day. And it's important.
Yeah, that is so very important what you said. We got the big fish up at the top, but we don't want to forget about these other little fishes that's swimming, around the bottom of it. So listen, let's dive on into it. So Dr. James Gray, let everyone kind of give us a little background of kind of what you've been doing and kind of where you are now, and let us know what's going on.
Okay, so I am an educator. I believe in the power of education. I'm a strong advocate for education. I believe that you can be whoever you want to be with the backing of education. Now, that does not necessarily mean you have to go to a Harvard, Yale, UCLA, USC, and get a 4 years degree or a master's or a doctorate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that education is a tool to uplift you. That can be, going online and reading something, picking up a book and reading, taking an online class, taking a certificate or diploma degree, So my main focus is to make sure that people understand the power of education. Education, as I said, it's so important. However, for a lot of us, we don't have access to good education. We don't have access to the resources to be able to use that tool of education to get us to the next level in life. So I am definitely an advocate for empowerment through education, as well as an advocate for the little man, the disadvantaged, those who don't have the good elementary and high schools in their neighborhood, so it's difficult for them to get to that next level. I've been in education formally in education for about 15, 20 years now. I've taught at the K through 12 level as well as the college level and also in college administration. So I've kind of hit every aspect of education, as well as serving on many different boards at, my kids' school. So I've dealt with it from all aspects.
Yeah, as I was going through your bio about a week ago, and I definitely was able to see. I said, "Wow, she has all the qualifications to definitely do this." And like I said, we definitely going to get behind you. So So you're running for seat number 5.
Yeah.
So and the other girls are running for different seats as well. So you want to kind of tell everyone kind of what the impact would be with you running for this particular seat for the district.
So basically, I'm running. There's several reasons. The main reason has to do first with representation. There are no African Americans on the board. Okay, there's a few men of color, and there's one woman, but there are no African Americans on the board. People of color make the largest percentage of students, 85% Black, Hispanic, or should I say Latin. Um, we are the majority. We're not the minority, as they want us to
Right,
believe.
right.
We're the majority, and that representation is not on the board. So that's first and foremost. I'm running to try to fill that gap for that representation. We've been hearing so much, and it's been so great with the whole Black Lives Matter movement. To see the whole world kind of yelling Black Lives Matter. I've never seen that in my lifetime, so that was great. And
Yeah.
I thought about it, and I'm like, this is good, but what next? And
Hmm.
for me, the next is we have to be at the table. You hear people say that all the
Yeah.
time, we have to be at the table. But we have to be at the table to be able to make those decisions, to be able to create policy that is positive for us.
Right.
So that's the other reason I'm running. Third, I have a huge issue with police on school campus. I have a huge issue with that. There's this thing known as the school to prison pipeline, where basically in a lot of our schools in the inner cities, in particular, and in disadvantaged neighborhoods, you have a strong police presence in schools. And LACCD has a $24 million contract. That's $24 million a year contract with the sheriff's department.
Mm.
We have 65% of the students are hungry. They're food insecure. We have another 19% that are actually homeless.
Mm.
19%. That's 1 in 5. 1 in 5 students. And LACCD is the largest in the country with over 250,000 students. Kids are hungry and homeless. And we have a contract with the sheriff's department to the tune of $24 million. That has to be changed. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at, that we need to switch it up a little bit. We got to do something different. We have to
Well,
do.
Dr. James Gray, I have not even thought about that aspect of this with the policing on the campus, things of that nature. And I'm not going to say what I want to say about the LA County Sheriff Department, but it's I can definitely understand where you're coming from with that. As I told the other two candidates, I'm familiar with the junior colleges, especially in Los Angeles, being part of athletics and all that. I'm familiar with the policing of it, where there is a lack of it, and it would seem like if you have 24 million that's going into that, hey, it needs to be a little bit better than that. So as I looked on the ballot underneath seat 5, you have a lot of people that you're running against, a lot of people plus the incumbent.
Yeah.
And I really didn't even realize that you all had these many people that you were running against. I was like, when I first opened it up, and I was so impressed because it was on the first page of the ballot. When I
Right.
opened it up, I opened up the sample ballot. I was like, oh, here it is right here. And,
Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, but to see as many people that was running for the same seat. So I'm not sure if your counterparts that's going to be running against you, but what do you think is the glaring difference between you and the other candidates that you're running against?
So first and foremost, the incumbent who's been there for quite some time,
Right,
uh, and he has been the president of the board 3 years in a row.
right.
He recently wrote an article talking about how LACCD hasn't done enough for Black people. I mean, this is his own words. He has said this. He said, the Los Angeles Community College District has not done enough for African Americans. He wrote an editorial on it. So, um, it's time for him to go because you're saying if you've admitted it, so you're part of the issue.
Yeah, right,
Part of the
right, right.
issue. So
Yeah,
you need to be removed. Um, I have someone else on there who's running, and she's been backed by the union. The union is backing her, along with a lot of Democrat, you know, party clubs and things of that nature. And keep in mind, this is a nonpartisan seat. This is a
right.
nonpartisan seat. Politics shouldn't even play a role in this, but it's very, very, very political because
Yeah,
you're talking about a $5 billion budget here. You
right,
know,
right.
so anytime you're talking about $5 billion, of course, politics is going to creep in.
Hmm.
So she's been backed, you know, by this union, and the union has also endorsed the other incumbents in the seat, you know, which says to me that she's in bed with the others,
Right,
basically.
right, right, right.
You know, um, I've gone through and I've looked at everybody. I am by far the most well equipped for this role. I've been an LACCD student, so I understand what it is to be a student trying to navigate through the process. All of my kids, I have three adult children, they've all gone through LACCD schools.
Hmm.
I have been a teacher, so I understand the challenges as well as the joys of teaching. It is my all time favorite job. So I got that down. I'm currently working in college administration. I'm an academic dean at a small allied health school. So I understand that. I also understand policy. I understand budgets. I'm a business, my bachelor's is in business. So I have what it takes to fill this position. I am by far the most well rounded, probably one of the better candidates that has ran for this in a long time. I'm
James, girl, you better go ahead and speak on this, girl.
a little biased, but I have what it takes. You know, I'm empathetic, and I understand the process and the struggles of trying to go to school, trying to work, especially if you're hungry. You know, you don't have anywhere to live. You're worried about where you're gonna sleep at tonight. You're worried about how you're gonna eat. You're trying to find a job, but at the same time, you're trying to better yourself by getting an education. I understand that. I've been there, been through it. You know, I had my son sitting in class with me when he was a kid several times. So I get it. So I think that I have the most to bring to the table in terms of understanding all of the stakeholders. I understand the students, I understand the teachers, I understand administration. I am also that you know the union plays a strong role in this board. The union plays a strong role in LACCD. And
Mhm.
I understand the place and the role that the union has, not just in OCCD, but in America as a whole.
Right.
So I understand how to, you know, how to play with the union, you know. So I'm ready. I'm ready.
Listen, I love it. I love it. You got me. Said I want to get over here and be like, hey, power to the people. So at what point? So Dr. James Gray. So with all that has been going on with the pandemic, and for me, I like to kind of say it's for me, it hit home with me around March the 12th. Uh, so when did you have this? You know what? I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. So what point in time did you make your mind up that you want to go ahead and run for the seat?
I'll be honest with you, and this is this is not. It's very on the opposite spectrum of politics. It's it was a divine order. It's divine order, and somebody put a call out. You know, asked me if I was interested. I went to this meeting. I didn't know that it was a ballot type of thing. I thought that it would, you know, be a situation where, you know, you go before some people, you give a speech, and then some people that either appoint you or, you know, choose right there. Then I found out that it was bigger than that, that it's, and actually it is a ballot on the ballot, on November 3rd ballot. So to be honest, there was never really a time when I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. It wasn't even a thought. I was truly led here by God. That may
That's,
sound crazy, but this is where I am. It's God's all in it.
hey, listen, that is the best. That's the best answer. I mean, because when you know that God is leading you to do it, hey, you know it has to be nothing but success behind it. So as I was speaking with the other couple of candidates, and as you were saying that you didn't know at the beginning, you didn't know that this was going to be an election process. So in every election, there's some negativity. There's some mudslinging, there's some darts that come along the way, and this and that. So how are you prepared to kind of handle that? Hey, one of your candidates, they may be being interviewed on a podcast or somewhere, a newspaper, something like that, and that's running for your seat. So how do you deal with the criticisms that may come your way if anyone has anything negative to say about you?
I don't get caught up in that. I really don't. I know who I am. I know who I am, and I'm here to fight for the students. I had, gotten a little bit of backlash. I've already been called unprofessional. I was on a interview, kind of like a meet and greet, and some of the incumbents were on the meet and greet, and
Hmm.
there was a student. The board gets one student trustee, and he was speaking. He's disenfranchised with the board, and they spoke to him and talked to him so horribly that I had to speak out and I had to speak against it. And as a result of it, they've already brandished me as being unprofessional because I spoke out about the way that they were treating the student.
Right.
So
So they already done put the black sheep title on you already.
yeah, yeah,
But you know what? Sometimes, Dr. James Gray, we got to stand alone. And hey, sometimes you have to do that to make a difference. And I totally get, where you're coming from with all that. Now, I went to West LA Junior College, and I went there for one semester. And I did not want to do it in the beginning, but my paperwork with Cal State Northridge got lost in translation. However, that happened at the time. So I went for a semester so I wouldn't be stagnant. So I had a very good experience over at West LA, and I was very pleasantly surprised uh, about the way things were being ran at the time. Yes, I saw a whole lot of folks from high school who were there, a lot of people from other high schools and things like that. And at times, it seemed to be just an advancement of a big high school party. However, it still benefited me for what I needed to do. So my question to you is that why don't you tell us what is the advantage of going to a junior college opposed to going straight into a 4-year college right after high school?
great question. And there's many. First and foremost, the biggest advantage is cost. That is the biggest advantage. You can't get an education anywhere else unless you go to Europe somewhere where it's free. But you
Right.
can't get an education anywhere in America for the cost. Now, there is a program where if you're LAUSD student, you can go for free. So they have that. So there's free and then there's really low cost. So cost
Mhm.
first and foremost is the big thing. In addition to that, you oftentimes have students who have no idea what they want to do when they go into college.
Right.
My
Right.
daughter at USC, but she knew what she wanted to do. But I could just imagine if she was flipping and flopping and changing. I have another one who did. She went that route. She changed 2 or 3 times before she settled on her major. But the cost, and then not knowing, if you don't know, it's a good place to discover yourself. You can take different classes, and figure out maybe you're interested in culinary, go take a culinary class. Or maybe you want to write poetry, go take a poetry class. So you can take a lot of different classes and don't have to worry about the cost.
Right.
Also, if you're looking to get into a career, to get into something where you can make a good living for yourself, plumbing, plumbers make good money. Electrician, good money. Trade Tech has a really good fashion department. I know a lot of people,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yep.
seamstress. These are some good paying jobs where you can go in, you can get a certificate, you can get a diploma, you can even get an associate's, and you can leave and get a job making a decent living. So those
Right.
are all some great reasons why one should go to a community college district. And there's some good teachers. There's some good teachers.
Yeah. You just said something with LA Trade Tech, and I'm not too far from LA Trade Tech. Uh, and I remember many years ago, my mother was a seamstress, and my mother took advantage of this fashion program that was over at Trade Tech, and they had fashion shows, the whole 9 yards, and it was just a fantastic program. And my mother was able to enhance a lot of those things that she learned over at Trade Tech. So I'm with you on that. Another thing about the junior colleges, a lot of the programs at the LA Unified School District, um, your wood shop, your metal shops, and all those programs have been disbanded by the district, and so those kids, they're not able to learn that trade. So I would take it that going to the 2 year, because everybody's not going to go to a 4 year, but
Exactly.
they can definitely get this information and get the learning at the 2 year. So for the incoming freshman uh, that's leaving high school,
Mhm.
and for that student that has the grades to attend a 4 year, however, has not was not blessed to get a scholarship or something of that nature, would you recommend that particular person who does not have the financial needs to be able to attend? Would you recommend that, hey, let's do this first, and then let's transfer on over to a 4 year?
Yes, all day, every day.
Okay.
All day, every day. I send students to the community colleges. I refer students. I went to Trade Tech, I went to Valley, I went to West LA, and I went to
Oh
Nichet.
wow. Okay.
Well, I was a young mother, so I had to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I got married, and I had 3 kids all of a sudden. So I would just take classes wherever I can, work around my kids' schedule. It took me 16 years before I got my bachelor's, but I got it. But that was because I would take a class here, take a class there.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
so yes, I tell students all the time. I mentor young adults all the time. I tell them, go take a class. It doesn't matter if you don't know what you want to do, if you have no idea, just go take something because you don't know. You might find something that's going to pique your interest. You may find a mentor there who can help you along the way. I'll tell you, I taught fashion for many years,
Hmm.
fashion marketing. And when I would meet people in the industry, they would rant and rave about the students from Trade Tech. Now, FITM, Fashion Institute, is right around the corner. When I
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
we would have to hurry up and register because the FITM students, they would go to FITM for the name, but they would come to Trade Tech to take the classes to
Right.
get that
Right.
curriculum and get that education. So
Right.
we, as soon as classes open, we had to try to hurry up and get in because the kids who were going to FITM were coming over there.
Right.
So
Right.
you have some superior programs
Mhm.
at the community college level. There's some good programs, really good.
So you just mentioned something. You said it took you 16 years to get your BA. All right. So what do you say to these individuals? Because sometimes kids feel like if I don't get this in 4 or 5 years, they just totally just give up on it. So what would be some encouraging words would you have to say to that person that feels like they're running out of time? For the person that has not been to school in about 10 years, uh, is there still a benefit for them to be able to go back to school to
Yes,
obtain that degree?
yes. Don't ever stop. Never stop. Never stop learning. I always say, once I stop learning, I might as well go on ahead and just die. Just end it. Never stop learning. I'm going to enroll in school next week. I don't stop. I have a doctorate, but I keep going. You have to continue. And there's no such thing as too old, you
Right.
know. There's so many changes. Technology is changing. Things are changing every day.
That's right.
Um, Stay abreast. stay up to date on new technology, stay abreast of what's going on, what's changing. It's never too late. You're never too old. You can take a class here, take a class there. And that's one of the things that I like about the community colleges is because there's not a whole bunch of, restrictions. Sometimes you go to a school and, you have to go in and you have to start with this cohort and you have to take these series of classes. It's not like that. You can kind of move around and, as long as you meet in certain situations, the upper division courses, of course, you have to take prereqs.
Right.
But for the most part, if you just want to take a basic sewing class, you can go and take a
Right.
sewing. You want to
Right.
take an entry level culinary class, you can do that.
Right.
You want
Right.
to go take swimming, water aerobics. These are all things that are offered at the community colleges. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be about just, going to get a degree, going to get a curriculum, but there's other things that you can do to enrich yourselves and enrich your life. There's all type of physical education programs. There's tons. There's
Okay.
tons. There's
Well,
lots.
in closing, I have just a couple of brief questions. So, how do you feel about uh, a student obtaining their AA degree, and how do you feel that this would help them in their workforce, in today's workforce, if they just don't want to go on to a 4 year?
So it depends. Every situation is different.
Mm-hmm.
You have an AA degree, but you may have a lot of experience. I'll give you a perfect example. My husband is the CIO of the city of Burbank. He only has his bachelor's. He doesn't have a master's. He was a VP at Paramount Pictures. So yes, he does have a bachelor's, but all of his counterparts, everybody who's equivalent to him, they hold masters, MBAs, and things of that nature. He doesn't. You can imagine how hard that is for an African American man
Oh
in
man,
that
absolutely.
industry in this day and time.
Right.
But what he has done is he's managed to stay current. He reads a lot. He'll take a class online, take another class online. So it's not necessarily about, having to get a 4 year degree or having to get an associate's. It just depends on you, the individual, and everybody's different. That's why I like to get opportunity to talk to students one on one because everybody's situation is different. There's a
Right.
lot to be said for experience. Now, if you have an experience and then you can couple that with some education and some degrees, you're winning.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Well, listen, in closing, you kind of touched on it earlier, but we're going to let you have the last word on this. So Dr. James Gray, I'm coming into the voting booth on November 3rd, and I'm opening up that ballot, and I'm looking underneath LACCD, and I'm looking under seat 5. So let everybody know once again who they should punch in, and why they should punch her in.
You're gonna scroll when you get to C5. You're gonna see C5 at the top. You're gonna scroll all the way down. Don't even look at nothing. You see C5, and you go straight to the bottom.
There you go.
Last name. It is say James Gray. You look for that James Gray. You mark that little dot right there, or push that little pin in, whatever it is in your
Yeah.
area. Okay. And you vote for change, you vote for representation, and you vote for somebody who believes in the power of education, believes in students, and believes in people, and will fight for, this sounds so cliche, the little man.
There
All
you
the
go. There you go. Dr. James Gray, it has been a pleasure.
yeah.
Great interview. I mean, listen, all of you guys have been knocking it out of the park. And I am so impressed
We're
with
just,
all of you. And I'm elated because you guys have my vote. You guys, whatever type of marketing, whatever I need to do to push this over the top, I want to be a part of that. So, you guys, please keep me in mind. I thank you so much for
thank
coming on the Pick a
you.
Side podcast. And I am a phone call away. Whatever you guys need, let me know. And I will be the Pied Piper of the Dynamic Four to get you guys on those seats. So, thank you so very much for being on the podcast.
Thank
I
you.
certainly appreciate it.
For what you're doing. Keep push your people in the corner to pick a side. That's a good
I will
thing.
certainly do that. I will certainly do that. Well, listen, everybody. Hey, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the show. And as I always say in my closing for all my podcasts, always keep God first place in your life, and He will take you places that you never dreamed of. Best of luck to you, Dr. James Gray, and we'll be talking to you on the other side.
Thank you. Thank
All right.
you.
Take care now.
You too.